Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome. Welcome, everybody, into the Overreaction Buffalo Postgame Show. Wasn't much of a game. Brought to you by the Market Dominator team on the Buffalo Rumblings, the Vidcast Network, presented by Picasso's Pizza. Treat yourself to the most flavorful pizza on game day. Picasso's, we are Buffalo Pizza, shipping local and nationwide. Order online today at picassospizza.net. I'm the voice of the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show, post-game show. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. It is so good to have you. Please do me a favor. Please like, please subscribe, whatever podcast you or podcast platform, however you are consuming this podcast, if you will. Please like, please subscribe. Also, I am Super Chat Live. So if you want to get my attention, I'm probably going to do a little bit of time reading some comments. You guys have already been pretty lively in the comment section, but it's good to have all of you. No, Mike, you did ask me earlier if I puked, if I vomited, and I have not. But yeah, so we're going to talk about this. I don't have a ton of notes. Bills Mafia is all up in its feelings. The Overreaction Buffalo Postgame Show Twitter handle. Last I checked, there was 50 responses. I don't know that I can get through all 50, but by goodness, we're gonna try. So it's just good to have every single one of you. Like I said, we're gonna try to sort through some of this stuff. So whether this podcast finds you around a cup of coffee, at the gym with your AirPods in, on the drive to work, or watching me live right now, let me just say one more time, welcome. Got our first super chat. Comes in from Darcy. Darcy, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Is Josh more hurt than the team says? He seems to have regressed the last 5 or 6 weeks. Or is it Dorsey? Well, you were just getting right into the thick of it there, Darcy. I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate you being a part of the show. Yes and yes. Right? So I think that's the answer. And I think you knew that answer, Darcy. I think you're just looking for probably some confirmation. Josh is absolutely hurt. He was in the blue medical tent. I don't know for this game, obviously after that one hit where they hit his arm. Still wildly unsure how he was able to come back in the game without Case Keenum taking one snap, but that was more, I mean, as far as his injury in this game, it wasn't necessarily, obviously same arm, probably same issue, a little bit of soreness, whatever. He ran up the field, yada, yada. But Josh is definitely not feeling well. And him playing through it probably wasn't the best thing. However, I would say that them winning or them losing this football game has nothing to do with necessarily Josh's arm. It has more to do with Dorsey, in my opinion, and the offensive line. And, you know, when you're looking at Dorsey, when you're looking at the offensive line, you can put that information anywhere you want to put it as far as football teams go. And as far as blame goes, you know, Sean McDermott said eloquently in his post-game speech that, you know, if you want to start somewhere, start with me. And that's really gracious for the head coach of the football team that is in no way, shape, or form in danger of losing his job. And I don't feel like Sean McDermott should lose his job, but there's a lot of people that are very angry right now that are in Bills Mafia. But, you know, when you know that you're secure in your position, it's a lot easier to be like, hey, you want to blame somebody, blame me. And that's kind of like where Sean McDermott is. And on, you know, in some respects, at some moments in time, in some moments of life, that's very stand-up-ish of a person. Hey, look, if you want to be mad at me. If you want to blame somebody, blame me. I'm in charge of the football side of the organization, blah, 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 blah. But when there's no real risk of anything, it's less chivalrous, I guess is what we'll say. But I do have a ton of information to kind of get through. Not a ton. That was a lie. I've got sparse notes comparative to other things. And some of it may be rant-esque. The season is over. The Buffalo Bills have lost in the divisional round of the playoffs yet again, 2 years in a row, this time to the Cincinnati Bengals. And we are going to talk about it. One more super chat before I get to John Spascheck. Jessica Tennis. Jessica, you know I appreciate you a lot. Thank you for being a part of the show. In my opinion, it is Dorsey and Josh, 2 peas in a pod. Okay. I think Josh has gone out of his way to protect Ken Dorsey this season. I think this it's in my notes later. I think this offense has wildly regressed even since the beginning of the season. It lacks creativity. It lacks ability. It lacks efficiency. It lacks surprise. It lacks toughness. It lacks the amount of stuff that it lacks. It lacks the ability to adjust, not in game, week to week. Outside of this week, we're going to throw all short passes. Next week, we're going to throw all deep passes. Then the week after that, we're going to throw all short passes. And the week after that, we're going to throw all deep passes. When you watch other teams just execute offensively, when you watch the plays that they run, even the Bengals, the plays the Bengals ran in this game to scheme their guys open, the way the checkdowns flowed to the running backs and whatnot, this team, the Buffalo Bills lack that ability. They lack those concepts. They lack that stuff. I don't know why. I don't know, to your point, Jessica, if it's a Josh and Ken thing and they're in a room and Josh says, I don't like these things. And Ken's like, great, we'll take them out. I don't know if it's Ken not being creative enough. I don't know if it's Josh not running the plays, executing the plays the way that they're supposed to be executed. I don't know if it's Ken going, I don't like these plays, so we're not going to run these plays. I don't have those answers. Brian Bowers basically says, Dorsey and Allen are the same guy. That's not true. Daboll was the guy that reeled Allen in. Daboll did reel Allen in. That is true. But I don't think that has anything to do with the vanilla-ness of the offense and the fact that Stefon Diggs vanishes for long stretches of games. Vanishes. I don't think that's a situation where Josh Allen is like, I'm just not going to throw the ball to Stefon Diggs anymore. At least not for the third quarter. I think those are play calls. And I think those are reads. Man, you guys are going to let me get to any of my commercials. Jessica Tennis back with another one. It is two quarterbacks who are QB centric. Sure. I can't argue with that, but I don't think you put the blame. Josh Allen doesn't write the plays. He doesn't script the offense. Josh Allen doesn't come up with a game plan. Josh Allen isn't in the game. He's not in the huddle doing what Peyton Manning and Jim Kelly used to do and calling his own plays. He receives a play. Josh Allen was asked in his press conference after this football game. He was asked about the play calling. Were you comfortable with the play calls that were coming in? And he said, and I quote, I will never criticize the play call. That's chivalrous. That is 1,000. We have heard many quarterbacks this year on many different teams slam their offensive coordinators. Players talk about it. They don't like the play calls or blah, 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 blah. And Josh Allen was like, I will never criticize the play call. Josh Allen, I think there's a beginning and an end to Josh Allen and Ken Dorsey. And I don't mean like tenure wise. I mean, how far one goes and how far the other goes. Make no mistake. This is Josh Allen's football team. But at the end of the day, Ken Dorsey is the one that's scheming the offense, not Josh Allen. Josh Allen is not Peyton Manning. Josh Allen isn't going to go to another team someday. Or I should say, Josh Allen, if this was the end of his contract year, he isn't going to pick a team that needs a quarterback really bad. He's not going there and then rewriting their offensive script the way that Peyton Manning did when he got to Denver. Josh Allen's not doing that. So you can blame them both, but they're not two peas in a pod. They're not together in this. They're not thick as thieves. So I have questions and stuff like that, and we'll probably break a lot of that stuff down possibly through the offseason, but we'll see. Let's get to the first read. This show is brought to you by the Market Dominator, so let's hear from John Spazchek and the Market Dominator team real quick.
Introducing the Market Dominator.
Folks, I'm John Spazchek. That's right, the Market Dominator, and I am the proud sponsor of the Overreaction podcast hosted by my good friend, Joe Miller. His approach is absolutely outstanding. It's excellent. And that's what our approach is when we get into real estate. We help our clients win, just like our beloved team is doing week in and week out. So folks, if you want somebody representing you with the most cutting edge technology, using artificial intelligence and everything we can get our hands on to help you win, you reach out to me directly, 716-570-3298. We will answer our phone. And one more thing, go Bills.
Go Bills. That is John Spaz. Check the Market Dominator. If you are in the market to buy or sell a home, please call the Market Dominator team. 716-570-3298. That number again, 716-570-3298. Real quick on John Spaz. Check. John believed in me. There's a couple of you that believed in me super early, and John was one of those guys. John has been a faithful sponsor to this show for a couple years now, and it goes without saying that I'm incredibly thankful for him. I'm incredibly thankful for his investment in me and my family. I'm incredibly thankful for his belief in me and my ability to do this thing that is, I don't know, that I'm maybe not qualified to do. I never went to school for journalism. And outside of just having a voice that's somewhat compelling to hear, and I have the, as Sterling Furrow says, Sterls with the Girls says, he says that I have a natural ability to tell a story. Outside of that, I'm not really a radio guy. I'm not a DJ. I'm not any of those things. Never have been. So, super thankful to John. Super proud of the work we've done together. A lot of you have called John and used John. It is proof that advertising works. And so John, if you're listening, and I know that you are, and maybe not live right now, but I know that you're going to listen at some point. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of just me and this endeavor and this hobby. And my opportunity, supporting me through my opportunity to connect with other Bills Mafia, this avenue, I guess, is the easiest way to say it. So, a lot of people in the chat, and I appreciate all of you. And keep chatting. And I'll try to pick and parse through once I get through my notes if we've got some time. Again, I don't have a ton of notes. There's really not a whole lot to talk about that's surprising, right? The Bills came into this football game winners of 8 straight. The Bengals winners of 9 straight. That undecided contest on Monday Night Football, the Damar Hamlin game, obviously still was out there and weighed in the balance. The game that never got played. Who knows what would have happened then? But as Josh Allen likes to say, it's not how you win. It's if you win. Sometimes it's how you win. And in a football game like this one and what we witnessed, me in person, at One Bills Drive, the Bills didn't win, and how you win, the Bengals made a statement. The Bengals absolutely 100% made a statement, probably a twofold or a two-part statement. The first part of the statement was, we're here to play, and we're ready. And the second part of the statement was the Bills going, we're not ready, and the Bengals going, I don't care, and embarrassing them, for lack of a better way of saying it. More importantly, you win as a team and you lose as a team. And this Buffalo Bills team lost as a team in this football game. The offense didn't help the defense. The defense didn't help the offense. Special teams was there, and they were relied on in some very strange moments, punting inside your own 50 when you're down 2 touchdowns. I don't know what's going on with that. Going for it on 4th down when you're down, when you need a field goal anyway, and you don't kick the field goal with 7.5 minutes left, which was the game that decided the entire game. That's when basically most of Bills Mafia started filing out of the stadium. But make no mistake, the Bills have for the last couple of years been chasing the Chiefs. And now, much to a lot of our fears, they're also chasing the Bengals. So where we used to like to have the conversation that the Bills and the Chiefs, class of the AFC, maybe even the league, that conversation is probably the Chiefs and the Bengals. Chiefs and the Bengals. And the Bills are the middling team that's trying to break through and hope that Pat Mahomes gets injured before the AFC Championship game. And that gives us an avenue to the Super Bowl that we so long to be in. But nevertheless, this is where we are. And we're going to gear up one more offseason. I sincerely hope that there's some real hard looks in the mirror down at One Bills Drive. I sincerely hope that there's some difficult and hard talent evaluation that happens down at One Bills Drive. We'll talk more about that in a minute. The Bengals came in beat up on the offensive line in this football game, and there was an expectation that the Bills, would exploit that. And I said last week on the John Fina show, Steve Tasker was our guest in case you missed it. And I said, it just seems like most of my life, definitely throughout the drought, any single time we had a team come in here that could be exploited, like the Bengals, with second and third string, not third string, but like the number 2 and number 3 wide receivers. The Bengals are 32 in the league, number 32 in the league in defending. The second and third wide receivers, I believe, is a stat that I heard. In the league, they're horrible at it. They're good at shutting down number 1. They're horrible at defending the others. Surely we can exploit that, and the Bills don't. The Bengals come in missing their first, second, and I believe third offensive tackles. Surely our edge rushers are going to eat all day long. They don't. And I asked Steve and I asked Fina, why does it just seem like this is what happens? And I know that there's football talk. Well, it's football and you just this and that. And game plan, those guys are paying on the other side of the ball too, yada, yada, yada. But it just seems like other teams are able to exploit things. For instance, why is it that the Buffalo Bills, when they're given a roadmap on how to beat a team, we'll use the Dolphins as an example. The 49ers beat them by using a certain play style or a playbook, and then the Chargers doubled down on that and destroyed the Dolphins and made them look absolutely silly on offense. And the Bills play the Dolphins, and what do? They just trot their nickel 4-2 out there, play off coverage, and we're just going to do what we do, and that's it. Why can't they do things? Why can't they adjust to things defensively, offensively, whatever, to play against it? Why do they not game plan against their opponent? Well, they do, I'm sure, game plan against their opponent. But you're looking at a Bengals team that just did to us defensively what has been done to us the last 2 games to basically keep Josh Allen subdued, keep him in the pocket. If he does break out, limit his yardage. Eric Wood was talking about it during the broadcast, that the Bengals were doing basically what they've watched on tape the last 2 or 3 weeks. Why don't we do that? Why don't we exploit things? Why don't we take advantage of things? If they're going to run a cover 1 or 0 pressure, we're going deep. That's literally the extent. And if they don't, we're going to throw it under. That's the extent on offense of the Bills' adjustment. On defense, the extent is we're going to wait and see what you do on your first drive with our nickel 4-2. You're probably going to go down and score, which they did. And then maybe we're going to get a feel for what you're doing around halfway through the second drive, which Sean McDermott said we feel like we had a pretty good idea. So they make some slight, just kind of movement personnel adjustments behind the nickel 4-2. And it didn't work. There's ways to beat this team. And you've got to think at some point in time in a game it had the potential to get away from them. It didn't, because Joe Burrow could have thrown for 400 yards on that defense in this game. It had the potential to get away from the Bills. And I'm not sure that there was confusion in the secondary. The defensive line could not get pressure. They could not get home. Backup tackles couldn't get pressure. The things that could have been exploited by the Bills against this Bengals team, the Bills elected to, I don't know, be vanilla on offense. Can you and if you guys want to keep blaming Josh Allen for not having weapons around him and having a vanilla-based offensive coordinator, I guess that's what you can do in this moment. And they played their nickel 4-2. And I was asked at the tailgate, which the tailgate was awesome. Jordan Poyer's dad was at the tailgate. John Fina, Mimi Fina were at the tailgate. Daryl Talley was at the tailgate today. Mary Wilson was at the tailgate. That was crazy. Deion Dawkins' mom was at the tailgate today. That was pretty cool. But I got asked several times, and I said, when I was asked, what do the Bills need to do, or what's going to have to happen for the Bills to win this football game? And I said, well, they're not going to have to make mistakes. And they didn't. They didn't turn the football over. And then I said, they're also going to have to not let Joe Mixon beat them. To which, in every instance, the reply was, wait a minute, you think that they're more worried about stopping Joe Mixon? And I was like, no, I think they're going to sell out against the run defense, or against the pass defensively, which means they're going to let Joe Mixon run, but they've got to make sure Joe Mixon doesn't kill them, because he can. And we just watched a defensive football team where they beat us with the pass, they beat us with the run. They just flat beat us. I don't know if it's in my notes or not, but Matt Milano actually was interviewed after the game, and he said that there was just no energy. There's no momentum. There's no juice, was the word he used on defense. Sean McDermott, when he was asked about Matt Milano's comments, he said, well, they got to do an offensive rhythm pretty quick, and we couldn't get them out of it. And our offense didn't help them. And before you knew it was 14-0. But I felt there was energy at first. And Matt Milano disagreed right out of his own mouth. Nope, we had no juice. We had no energy. Brandon Wright says, to my comment about vanilla offense, vanilla more like bland. And then he followed that up with vanilla is an upgrade. And Peyton Place says, we just got beat. I disagree. I've been on this show for the last 10 or 12 weeks telling you that the only team that can beat the Buffalo Bills are the Buffalo Bills. And while the Buffalo Bills did get soundly beat in this football game, they were out-coached, which is a preparation issue. I think they were out-focused. There was a lot to it. Even when you look at it's one, so we've all watched those dominant football games where a defense, I'm thinking the Ravens defense. We've seen this Bills team do it to teams before, where the defense just houses the offense completely. No matter what they want to do, and no matter what they're trying to do, they're getting forced into mistakes. They're getting forced into bad decisions. They're getting forced into bad plays. Whatever it is, our offense wasn't manhandled by this Bengals defense. They were just bad plays, and it wasn't even a play call situation. It was just a bad play running. There was one play in particular, and I want to bring it up on the Phoenix show tomorrow, where the ball is snapped. Roger Saffold pulls out around the outside of Deion Dawkins and takes off to his left, vacates his spot and takes off to his left. When Josh gets the ball, he hops to his right like he's going to throw the football. There was nobody there. So listen to what I just said. Josh Allen gets the snap, hops to his right to throw a quick pass to his right. The guy was covered. Meanwhile, at the very same time, Roger Saffold has jettisoned his position as the left guard, has circled around Deion Dawkins, and has taken off for the sideline like he's expecting a run. I don't know. It was in the third quarter. I don't know how many of you caught it, but I was like, what is happening right now? And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the fact that they didn't really get beat as much as they didn't put up much of a fight. There's a difference between fighting and getting beaten and just kind of like showing up. We're here. Buffalo Bills present. The Buffalo Bills are present. Darcy in with another super chat. Is there any scenario where Frank Reich comes here as the offensive coordinator? I think it would be great for Josh. Well, two things. I was asked about this on Twitter. So Ken Dorsey is a 1-year offensive coordinator, number one. And if you think for the first part of this that Sean McDermott would never fire his offensive coordinator after 1 year, well, he did. He fired Rick Dennison after 1 year. So he does have a history of one and doneing certain people on his staff. So that's not outside the realm of possibility. To the other part of this question, Frank Reich, I do believe that Frank Reich is probably going to get considered to be, consideration for a head coach. If he doesn't, it's not outside the realm of possibility. But, Frank, I love Frank, but Frank is grasping onto the past a little bit, right? Right? I mean, yeah. I'm turning my short notes into long, long takes. I apologize, everybody. And I don't know if this is what you guys want to hear or not. So if y'all hate me after this, forgive me tomorrow. Where was I at? Snow was expected to forecast, and boy, did it snow. It snowed the whole game. It started snowing. I started making my way into the stadium around 2:00, and it started snowing. And by the time I got into the stadium, it was snowing. I was like, what is happening? No real wind to speak of in this game. It was not a factor. It was wet and chilly. It wasn't too bad, though. I was warm pretty much the whole game. But it was the weather, the weather, it was weatherish, right? It was precipitous, but the weather was not necessarily the problem. I don't think footing was the problem. Clearly, we didn't see people dropping footballs all over the place. So for either team, actually, the Bengals did a really good job of making some pretty great catches as far as that goes. But I think the big thing about just the weather itself is, we've long lived on this belief, on this notion that we somehow have home field advantage, especially through the playoffs, right? See you in Buffalo in January might be chilly. The Dolphins came in last week and put it to us with a third string quarterback in the first round of the playoffs, and the Bengals just beat us in our own house in the snow. So maybe it's just time to build a dome, right? So maybe somebody needs to call Ron Raccuia. Maybe somebody needs to call Governor Hochul and say, yeah, this whole open air thing, just give us Josh Allen in a dome where he can chuck the football over the yard, because I don't know that the weather is providing us the advantage that we want. Maybe it is, and I've been the guy, just so everybody knows, if you go back and check tape, that's been pounding the table. I don't want a dome. I don't want a dome. I don't want a dome. I just don't know that it's providing us anymore. The mystique, I think, is gone. I think we got a lot of mystique push in the last year about coming to Buffalo and having to play in the playoffs. Keep in mind, last year we beat a New England team that plays in the cold. It's not like they play outside in the cold. I feel like the mystique, part of the mystique is you not getting beat in your own house, right? I mean, you don't want to go to Buffalo and play because it's cold and they're going to kick your ass. Well, the Bills didn't even show up in this game. I don't know. Another rant. Sorry about that. Brian Bowers astutely says, Chiefs play in the cold too. Yep. But yeah, as far as this football game goes, it was supposed to be billed to be the game of the week. They put it in the prime slot, 3:00 on Sunday. Anything but that. The guy sitting next to me, they showed a highlight of the Eagles Giants game in the stadium. And Tom, my seat neighbor for the last, 12, 15 years, said to me, that game was awful. I was like, Tom, the way you felt about watching that game is how people watching this game feel right now. The Eagle fans are watching this game going, turn it off. This game sucks. Because it did. Getting into some of the game stuff, right? The game information. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do the Western New York Beer Trail read first, because I don't want to get too deep into the show. Because once I get to the tweets, it's gonna be over. The brand new 2023 Trail Pass from Western New York Beer Trail is now available. The 2023 Trail Pass is bigger and better than ever, and there's no better time to get ready for next year than there's no better time to get ready for next year than right here, right now. Go get drunk, everybody. That's what Tom's telling you. Get this book and then go have some beers. Get ready for next year. The new pass features 53 area breweries, cideries, meaderies, and beer bars all over Western New York. While almost every stop still offers the 2 half-price beers with your pass, there are several other offers available from select locations, such as discounts on flights, food, and merchandise. You can save over $400 with all offers in this book right here that I'm holding. Like a Tyler Bass field goal, you just can't miss. The 2023 Trail Pass and other beer trail items are available at our website, www.wnybeertrail.com. Just click on the shop tab. Use the code TheVoice15 to save on your entire order. And just so you know, this book is like $30, $35, so you get 15% off of that. You can save over $400 with all the offers in the book. Like a TV. Oh, I already read that part. Wrong paragraph. This is the perfect way to start your new year and go ahead and get yourself a little something to boot. We at Western New York Beer Trail are proud to support everything local, craft beer, small business, and local charities. Watch for our meetups and fundraising events along the way. Western New York Beer Trail. Drink local, support local. We'll see you on the trail. Super big thanks. Shout out and thanks to Tom for supporting me this year as well. Yeah, dude. Thank you. I cannot say thank you enough. So I'll just keep saying thank you. So thank you, Tom, for supporting me, being a part of the show this season, the 2022 season. So sorry that it did not end the way that we all had hoped. So getting back into it. So the Bengals' first 2 drives, I tweeted at some point in time that after 2 drives, the Bengals had like 135 or 140 yards, 14 points. They'd had the ball for, I don't even know what it was, 11 minutes, and they had 1 negative play. I don't think they had an incompletion. They had 0 incompletions. They had 1 play that did not go for positive yards. It was incredible. The first quarter was awful. You want some stats? At the end of the first quarter, the Bengals had 10 first downs. The Bills had 0. The Bengals had 44 rushing yards. The Bills had 5. End of the first quarter. Passing yards, the Bengals had 116. The Bills had 3. I mean, time of possession, 11:40 to 3:20. I don't know that I'm putting that blame on Josh Allen. Maybe you are. He looked pretty skittish to me in that pocket. He looked pretty unsettled. He looked pretty not trusting of his offensive linemen. At the end of the half, let's go to the end of the half. The end of the half, and that's this one right here. The Bengals it was 17-7 at the end of the half. The Bengals had 275 yards. The Bills had 135. So monumentally better than the first quarter. It scored 1 touchdown in that quarter as well. Passing yards. Oh, that was total yards, right? 275 to 135. Passing yards, 184 to 108. Rushing yards, 91 to 27. I mean, let the drubbing begin, right? I put a tweet out at that point in time that you want to talk about, or you want to see what getting your ass kicked looks like in the first half. This is it. And apparently the tweet never got delivered by Twitter until I think 4 or 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, which was a little weird. People were like, did you just tweet this? Because this is old information. And it was. Yards per play, the Bengals 6.7. They were averaging over 6 yards a carry. And most of those yards were after first contact and Joe Mixon and Pirine carrying Buffalo Bills tacklers on their backs. The Bills averaged 4.8 up to halftime. Bengals first downs 18. The Bills got their first down in the second quarter. They had 8 in the second quarter. Third down efficiency, 3 for 5, 2 for 6 for the Bills. Fourth down efficiency, 0-0, 1 for 1 for the Bills. Total plays 41 to 28. Sacks allowed 1 and 1. Punts 1 to 3. Penalties. The Bengals were wildly not penalized. They had a bunch of penalties that they committed that did not get called. That's not why the Bills lost this game, but the Bills were penalized a lot. And the time of possession did level out a little bit through the second quarter. I think they were beaten by 4 minutes or something like that. We will look at the end of the game stats here in a second. But even when you look through just that first half of football, which I think there's one other time in my career of doing this, and it's not a long storied career, but in my career that I said that you can just fire that first quarter, that first half into the sun. This is another one of those moments, although you could probably fire the whole game into the sun. The offense was very, it reminded me of the Jets game, the first Jets game that we lost, where the offense had one play. They had that one Stefon Diggs pass that was like 22 yards or 23 yards or something like that. And outside of that, the offense did nothing the whole game. That's very much how this game felt. And defensively, the reluctance for Leslie Frazier to do something, to dial up some sort of pressure on Joe Burrow. It's almost like the nickel 4-2 in the Sean McDermott, Leslie Frazier defense is the whole game plan is, if you've got a beat up offensive line, we're going to rush our 4 guys because that's going to give us the opportunity to drop 7. And then good luck passing the football. They've tried it against Pat Mahomes and gotten their butts kicked. They've tried it now against Joe Burrow and gotten their butts kicked. They've tried it against a lot of good quarterbacks. Quarterbacks that stand in the pocket Tom Brady will find the guy that's open. Sometimes Jamar Chase in the middle of the field, 30 yards downfield, all by himself in the first quarter, the very first touchdown. I just don't. How do you not run a blitz at him? How do you not mix something up? How do you not change something? But make no mistake, as much as I'm jumping all over the place because my notes are a little bit skittish, it isn't only on the defensive line. It's not just on the defense. The offensive line played horrible as well. Sean McDermott in his post-game press conference said the effort was there. Listen to me. Listen to this quote. The effort was there. We just didn't make enough plays to win. I think we just didn't do enough to win. The effort was there. We just didn't do enough to win. I'm going to be real with you for a second. If I gave that effort that the Bills gave in this game, if I gave that level of effort to this show week in and week out, I would have no listeners. None. Zero. I copied that quote. I can't remember who tweeted it first. I copied it. I quote tweeted it. And I just said, hey, bro, Sean, I need you to go back and check the tape and check the tackling in this football game. And then get back to me on your thoughts of the effort. Because the tackling was horrendous. Horrendous in this football game. But it's not just one thing. You win as a team, you lose as a team. And my goodness, did they lose as a team in this football game? It was awful. This football team, listen, I'm going to say some things that a lot of you might not agree with, and some of you might. And I'm not looking to get amens. I'm not looking to get applauses. I'm just telling you from where I sit and from what I see. This is what my message is going to be through the 2023 offseason. And I don't know that this stuff can be fixed. And this is what I'm going to wrap up. I'll probably hit the game stats, and then I'm going to do the tweets. This football team, the Buffalo Bills, have no weapons outside of Stefon Diggs. And I don't mean Josh Allen. And I know what you're thinking already. Oh, but we got Khalil Shakir. Well, no. Andy, my brother, said several things back. When Khalil Shakir is having a good game, it doesn't mean good things for your offense. That's not a bad statement on Khalil. It just means where's Gabe Davis besides dropping footballs, right? I mean, I like James Cook a lot. I think James Cook has a lot of potential, and I think I'm very excited to see James Cook next year. James Cook is not a weapon right now. The only weapon that this Buffalo Bills team had in 2022 was Stefon Diggs. And he was visibly upset from what I hear on the sideline. I did not watch the game feed. I was at the game. I did not see him upset, but apparently he was upset. There's also stuff out there about him leaving the stadium early. Now, you can project upon him that you feel like he left the stadium early because he was really upset. There's also a great possibility that he was trying to get home to watch his brother play in the playoff game that's going on right now, because he's a big family man and he loves his brother. So if I had to guess, he was probably upset, sure, but I don't think he left the stadium in a huff because he was being a baby and pouting and wanting to get out of there. More than likely, he's trying to get home, traffic, wanting to get home so that he could watch his brother play football. But this team has no weapons outside of 14. Don't get it mixed up. And bringing back Beasley was a great idea. I think bringing back John Brown was a great idea. I don't feel like the Bills did anything to scheme them into this offense at all. This offense started with a horrible wide receiver strategy. Horrible. And I've talked about it on this show a lot. They went into the season with 3 or 4 slot receivers. None of them named Cole Beasley. And 3 boundary receivers, one of them Jake Kumaro, who's a special teamer. They started the season, their wide receiver strategy was Gabe Davis, Stefon Diggs. That was the strategy. And I'm not saying, so don't put words in my mouth. I'm not saying that Isaiah Hodgins would have changed that. I know you guys know that I'm tight with Isaiah and I've got a love for the kid and I want to see him do great things and would have loved to have seen him do great things in Buffalo. I'm not saying that Isaiah would have changed that, but they should have known what they had on this roster. And the fact that they let Isaiah Hodgins go tells you they didn't know what they had on this roster. Horrible strategy at wide receiver. 4 slots, starting 3 on game day, starting 3 boundary guys. One of them is a freaking special teams guy. And then one of your slots gets injured in Jamison Crowder. Your only other boundary receiver gets injured. And then like you bring John Brown back and you bring Cole Beasley back, and then you start forcing Khalil Shakir into the lineup. You bring back John Brown, who's playing the boundary. You bring back Cole Beasley, who's playing the slot, and Shakir ended up playing more after Cole got back, like reunited with this team, than he did before. I don't know if anybody else caught that. Like, what is happening there? Is that like front office management going, hey, this guy can help us, and then the coaches going, no, we don't want that guy? Like, that was wild to me, especially in the Dolphins game. It very much felt like Khalil Shakir was being forced into this offense. Say it ain't so. And I like Khalil. I'm not saying that I don't like Khalil. I don't consider him anybody that a team is going to scheme against. Oh, we got to worry about that guy. They're not. They're not worried about James Cook right now either. They're not worried. They might be worried a little bit about Dawson Knox. The guy that they're worried about is Stefon Diggs. That's it. And the hard part about all of what I'm saying is Josh cannot be the only thing that this offense relies on. And there was a lot of tweets about it, and I feel the same way. There's a lot of people tweeting and saying that this is a very Josh-centric offense, and it can't be that way. It can't revolve completely around him. It can't be, here, Josh, here's the football. Go do magic things. Go do things that nobody else can do. It can't be that way. And the funny thing about it is if you get Josh better weapons, he will be better. Josh will be a better football player with better weapons. You watched the Chiefs jettison Tyreek Hill. And Pat Mahomes is still Pat Mahomes. I'm going to say it this way. Not because they got Juju Smith-Schuster and Valdez-Scantling. No, the reason that Pat Mahomes had a really good year was because of Pacheco. They went and got a 7th-round running back who they struck gold with. And that guy kept defenses off balance, which allowed Pat Mahomes to throw the football wherever he wanted to throw it, largely to Travis Kelce, who defenses just won't cover for some reason. Get Josh Allen weapons, and he will be a better quarterback. Ask him to do everything for you, and he's always going to be limited. And not limited like, oh, he's just a limited quarterback. He's horrible. I don't mean that. I'm saying you're limiting his ability to take games over if you don't give him weapons. Moving on, this team has had an issue on the defensive line for years. This team has had an issue on the defensive line for years. Yes, Von Miller helped. Was he enough? No, because he got injured. As soon as Von Miller went out, the issues continued. This team has issues on the defensive line and has had them for years. Tackling has been an issue on this team for years. This team has, since McDermott has gotten here, has had a problem with tackling. They try to glance blow guys. They dive at they're not diving at people's feet and missing. They're trying to hit them really hard in the shoulder pads, or they're trying to grab their shoulder pads. Like, you don't tackle a guy by grabbing his shoulder pads. It's like the first thing they teach you when you start playing football. Tackling has been a problem on this team for years. This team has issues on the offensive line, whether it's players not developing as quickly as they need them to, Spencer Brown, or they've got contracts expiring, Roger Saffold. Mitch Morse might be a contract jettison this year. They've got problems on the offensive line. This team is about to have a huge hole at safety. And that's one hole if Micah Hyde makes a full return. And oh, by the way, Micah Hyde's contract is up after next year. And the guy that was waiting in the wings, Damar Hamlin, it doesn't look like he's going to make it back anytime soon. Huge hole at safety, at least one. This team is about to lose Devin Singletary. And next year, they're going to go into that season. Right now, it looks like, obviously, the draft is coming, free agency is coming, all that. James Cook, Naheem Hines at running back. Did it seem to any of you like they trust either of those guys? Doesn't to me. This team has lacked creativity and growth all season. What do I mean by that? I mean creativity in scheming, both offensively and defensively, and they've lacked growth, which means the ability to learn off of either mistakes or the ability to grow off of people catching up to them. Right? And the good news is the Cowboys, I believe, just lost, which means that's going to take some of the sting off of all of the media stuff tomorrow about the Bills losing, because the Bills got beat by the Bengals and the Cowboys still continue to not be able to do anything in the playoffs. The team has lacked creativity and growth all season. You get the feeling, and McDermott said it in his press conference again today, they understand, that the staff understands, the front office understands that football is won up front. You've got to win at the line of scrimmage. You just have to. Yet we get this for football games. We get this defensive line performance. We get this offensive line performance. And this isn't the first time. It's not the first time this year. It's not the second time. We've had problems, as I said, on the defensive line for years. They keep reshuffling the deck, reshuffling the deck, reshuffling the deck. Same problem. At some point, maybe it's a scheme issue. Von Miller came into this team playing 80 or 85% of the snaps of every team he'd been on. Maybe the rotating guys at 48 to 52% thing just isn't it. Maybe it doesn't work. Go find some freaking ball busters, put them out there, and sick them on a quarterback. Give me another Von Miller that's a young kid that's a lot cheaper that maybe you drafted, put him on the opposite side of Von Miller, let him go for 90% of the snaps, and make hay. Hendrickson doesn't come off the field for the Bengals. My brother Andrew Miller has a super chat. Andrew, I'm sorry it took me a little bit of time to get to your super chat. I appreciate you. The Bills need to spend money like the Rams. Go win. I don't know if they've got the ability. I don't know if they've got the money to do it right now. But at the end of the day, I don't care what the stats say. I don't care about DVOA. I don't care that per ESPN and Pro Football Reference, where the number 5 defense and we're the number 2 scoring offense. I don't care what any of that crap says. This team has regressed this year. Your eyes tell you the truth. This football team has regressed. Ask yourself. I'll wait. Has this team regressed? Do I think this team has regressed? Ask yourself that question right now. You know it's true. This team has regressed. 100% regressed. They've got to fix it. I'm going to leave you with that. And then I'm going to jump over to the tweets. I'm going to skip the game, the stats, because there are a lot of tweets. I cannot believe how many tweets there are. This is unreal. I'm going to do the best I can, fam. After this football game, I sent out a tweet from the Overreaction Buff handle. The Buffalo Bills drop a divisional playoff game yet again. Only this time you have to ask whether they even showed up for it. It was kind of negative. How's this loss got you feeling, Bills Mafia? Reading your tweets at 9 o'clock. Autumn at AutumnRE_sports. Depressed. They need to mend things with Diggs and get the O-line and wide receiver help. This sucks. Psychofanatic at Psychofanatic. Sad day. I don't think they even showed up to play. Still love my Bills, but sure don't know what is going on with today's performance. Can't say I disagree. I don't know that I'm going to have much to comment back. I mean, if I get really intrigued, I might comment back, but for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to read the Mafia's feelings. Karen at GOO Sabres Bills. Terrible play calling on both sides of the ball. Time to look really hard in the mirror regarding coaching. It was a great season. I'll take it over the drought years. Hamlin is still with us, so we still won. Hashtag Go Bills. Hashtag Bills Mafia. Still. Hashtag Wildest Dreams Land. Retweet. Richard Rush at Richard R. Rush, whose birthday I believe is today. Happy birthday, Richard. Appreciate you. Love you, dude. You know that. What hurts the most is the lack of fight they put up. It was disgusting to watch. He's got Ralphie putting his head down on the desk. You aren't wrong. The Bills fan in the C at Bills Big_Big. Dang it. At Big_Bills_guy. My bad. Frazier and Dorsey were overmatched. Frazier laying eggs in the playoffs is becoming a thing. It seems like it. Patrick John Hizzy at Patrick Hizzy. The Bills are now the Peyton Manning Colts or the Alex Ovechkin Capitals. I was thinking about this today. Those teams got their day in the sun. Here's hoping we can get ours too. I was thinking literally today that the Buffalo Bills are becoming the Peyton Manning Colts. That there's one other team or other teams out there that they just can't get past. The Dolphins. They're the Dan Marino Dolphins. They're a really good football team with a really good quarterback. But there's another guy in the same division or another 2 guys, Jim Kelly, John Elway, that they just can't get past. And if they do get past, they get stumped by Joe Montana. That's a great take. That's a great take. Probably because I agree. Josh Allen is God at Enfuego Dugo. Not good. The defense sucked. Straight to the point. Chef at the Critical Chef. Bills were embarrassed today. McDermott's D isn't what he thinks it is. Their version of zone D has me infuriated. D line should have feasted on that offensive line, and they wilted. The O-line is trash. Better draft 2 guards early. 0 play calling. Outclassed, outmatched all game. Had no answers for Cincy. He pretty much summed it up right there. This time next year, Rodney at Saxa Dave. My guy, Saxa Dave. Started the season Super Bowl favorites. Ended the season with no real wide receiver 2, needing serious offensive D-line improvements. Wow, Dave's in my head. Plus doubts over if we can afford to re-sign some important players in key positions. The one constant, getting out coached, is still here, though. Darcy, who was in the comment section, at Darcy Khan. They had no answer for Cincinnati on offense or defense. Either the Bengals are better than we thought or the Bills are not as good as we thought. Both, Darcy. Both. That's the second time that it's both. My guy, Payton. Payton plays in the comment section. Shared elsewhere. This was from the 2020 AFC Championship game, part 2. I hope this time the lessons of reinforcing the trenches, especially the interior offensive line, D had injuries, is heard. Proud of the Bills and what they overcame this year. Yes, Payton, me too. Sad I won't see them again for a bit. Everyone has bad days, it says. Don't give up, pause, rest, reset, restart, but never quit. Always pick yourself up and keep going. I like it. Bills Media 716 at Bills Media 716. Tired of next year, harsh reality today, but that the team isn't good enough to win the AFC right now. Crucial offseason if we want to keep the Super Bowl window open. I agree. GNuts68 at GNuts68, or it's Gnuts. It almost seemed like they were wearing the wrong cleats. The Bills were slip sliding everywhere, but the Bengals had no problem. But honestly, their heads haven't been in it since the DeMar Hamlin game. I don't know about that, but I hear you. Joe at Joey_McNabb. Some of the play calls were making me want to rip my hair out. Why was it that the only receiver Dorse could scheme open the last few games was Shakir? Milano and Taron Johnson seem to be the only 2 players who showed up on defense. So frustrating. Go 49ers, I guess. And the 49ers won. I echo all of those statements, Joe. Zach Jennings at Zach the Rioter. Need better coaching. At least with Jim Schwartz, we looked like and played like a top 5 defense. You're going way back. Jim Schwartz. Awful play calling from Frazier. Yet again, in the biggest moments, offense was lackluster at best. Along with being way too predictable. And the O-line. Oh my God, the O-line. Dude, the predictable is probably the best way to surmise that offensive line or that offensive scheme. Just that whole thing. Jimmy Key at Jimmy Key with 4 E's. Mad as hell, and I relived and relieved at the same time. Burrow and company fired on all cylinders tonight. Alex Dukowitz. Alex, thank you for being a part of the show. He just said bad. Bills Mafia Mike 14092 at Taserman03. Last year hurt more, but I felt better about it because there was a promise for the next season. This loss, I don't have that promise with the holes we have to fill this offseason. Worried. That's actually a great, as much as gut punching, as a gut wrenching, as a punch in the gut, that last season's loss to Kansas City, the way that we did with 13 seconds, the way that the whole thing fell apart, it left you with hope that we could be better. This loss sucks way worse. Like, show up. Take it down to the wire. Lose in 13 seconds. Don't lose in the first 2 drives. 14-0, game over. Because that's what it was. 27-10, 14-0, game was over. Sorry. Eric Samolsky at Samsky NYC. Defense was on their heels and dominated early, but the offense simply no-showed. Dorsey refused to alter the approach and use quick hitting passes. Diggs was a non-factor, not enough other weapons. The offensive line has been bad all season, and the quick passing would have helped alleviate that. I don't disagree. Jessica Bracco at Psych Historian. We showed up, froze our asses off, and we were embarrassed today. That's it. That's absolutely it. There's a lot of Bengal fans in the stands today. There was more opposing team fans in the stands today than I've seen all season. There was a lot of Bengal fans there. Buffalo Bills Dude 25 at TB versus 607. They've plateaued under McDermott. It's possible, but I doubt it. Deadly Edley at Edley933, mentally depleted post-Hamlin. Talking about the team or him, I'm guessing. Bill S at CRZY Bill. This game was like most of my blind dates before I got married. They never showed up. At what point does McBean address the coaching issues? I despise coaches doing interviews in the postseason. We didn't even talk about that. Was there a distraction for Ken Dorsey for doing that interview? And with everything invested in our defense, we stop nothing. Changes are needed. Hashtag Go Bills. MRobs at MRobs86. We need one or more stud players. We've been keeping our heads above water with Diggs and Allen. I want to blame the coaching, but when you have a top 10 defense and offense, yeah, this team has regressed. They're not a top 10 offense and defense. I don't care what the stats say. It feels weird to blame them. We need game-changing players on defense. Like, who is our stud defensive lineman? Well, Daquan Jones has been great this year, and he was injured at the worst time possible. And obviously, Von Miller is too. Go Bills at Linsk716. Weirdly calm. I'd rather lose like this than in a close nail biter. That is strange. iMike23 at iMike2333. Man, squirrel. Just sad that I'm used to it. I don't know what that means. Sharon Briandy. Sharon, haven't seen you in a while. It's good to have you back at Sharon_Briandy. I love the Bills, but I just don't understand why our defense was so bad. This is the second time in a critical game we played tight. Last year, we didn't even throw until the second half. I hope for some changes because we are not great, just good. Thanks, Joe, for making my season. Sharon, I appreciate you. You are welcome. At Kevin Kaiser at Kaiser71. I think it's really time to consider firing Frazier. This defense, especially the D-line, grossly underperformed with or without Vaughn. A few of these players that have been in the system didn't play well when called upon. AJ Epinesa. Time to make a big move. Thank you for being a part of the show. Blondie at Blondie Leone. We need to clean house. McDermott will not take us any further. I disagree, but you are more than entitled and welcome to your opinion. Pamela at Pamadonna. Don't call her Pam. She gets mad. Zero heart, zero passion the entire game. Both sides of the ball. Kept waiting for the second half team to show up. So did I, by the way. Agree with other people. It's not about losing to the Bengals. It's about how we lost. I'm still like, did that really happen? Yes, Pamela, it did. Doesn't feel real, but always, or as always, go Bills. Graham at Bills Mafia at GPPPOS1. They actually looked bad last week versus a third string. Sorry, that is a tag on somebody else's tweet. My bad. Take that out. Tyler Wilson at LaBounty Barber 1. What happened to our defense? Bengals made it look too easy to find the holes. When they weren't finding them, they were just making them and then dragging guys down the field. Was the whole team just starstruck and couldn't get focused? Bengals knew everything Frazier was going to throw at them. Lastly, is Diggs becoming the cancer they said he was in Minnesota, leaving early? No, that is not true. Buffalo Archives now at Buffalo Archives. Criticizing play calling is the play free bird of sports takes, but there's no denying that the Bills offense lack creativity. I want Josh to be Josh, but he can only do so much if defenses can sniff out what he's doing. It's also possible that the Bills simply ran out of gas. It's a great tweet. Xavier Stutz at XCS713. Bill season was just cursed. I don't know what which or God we pissed off, but I can't take this shit anymore. Bill's going to win at Atlassian Joe, I think is what that says. Our D did not make one play today. I'm done with the Frazier defense. The only reason our D is highly rated is because we play the 2 to 3 score lead every week. You're not wrong about that. That's actually true. Outcoached and out-schemed. If he's back next year, we won't make it to the AFC Championship game again. Xavier Stutz comes back with the second one. The Bills were at the game today. Jay at Jman_1912. How long are we supposed to trust the process? It's been 6 years. You're not wrong. Trent Harrison at Harrison Rising. Edmonds is out of position on the first touchdown. Poyer on the second. Refs missed play clock on the third. It looked like the Bills trainers had them in the wrong shoes. Josh had wrong touch on 4 or 5 big passes. All of this is true, what he's saying. I can't say fire Dorsey and Frazier. Bengals were better. Bills didn't bring it on the field. I can't say don't fire him. My man Brian Bowers at so it's Brian Anthony at B_easy4 in all caps. The way that Brian is now communicating, this was by far one of the most pathetic performances I've seen under this regime. O-line was atrocious. The D-line was worse, and more importantly, the coaching was putrid. We are wasting our Super Bowl window. Big changes must be made immediately. Hashtag in lowercase letters, pissed off. I would expect that in reverse. Lowercase for all that other stuff, and then hashtag big giant pissed off. Love you, B. You know that. Dude should have his own show. Chris, Evil Empire 36, but with 3s. My only thought is you have a franchise player in Allen, but you failed repeatedly to protect him. He's not going to last forever if this keeps up. Time to spend big money up front and forsake the D-line for a year. Defense didn't stop anyone all year anyways. It's rough. Also, Allen makes the problems for this team for years. If you look at the draft picks, there's a lot of okay players, but lots of misses, especially on the lines. Need better help from Bean. It's true. Mike at MRoby3. Sorry. Bye-bye, Sean. Sean's not going anywhere, Mike. Gary at Gary Lewano or Lewankow. My bad. I apologize. That McDermott has taken this team as far as he can. There's a lot of people hating on Sean McDermott right now. That dude ain't going anywhere. Donald Parrish at Donald Parrish GA. I'd rather get my ass kicked straight up than lose Greek tragedy style like last year in Kansas City. It's funny that's the second take like this. With this team hitting a ceiling, it's fair to wonder if Bean and McDermott might be a little too precious about, quote unquote, their guys. Oh, there's football politics going on. 100%. The best players don't play. There's football politics going on. FD territory at FD territory. Sean Payton, please pick up the white courtesy phone. Sean Payton, please pick up the white courtesy phone. I added an extra one in there for just effect. Cuse Mandan at Breaking Orange 44. 2 weeks in a row, they let the backup O-line dominate. Straight trash. Straight trash. DM at DM948-01275. AFC North football is more physical since he has a more physical team. Today that showed through. Storyline: Bills without Von Miller, too big a factor. Bills without Von Miller is too big of a factor in the playoffs. So I think without Von, it's a factor. Dorsey needs a hard look. Jamie Brouillard at JBrew38. I've only got a couple more for you. We did it, guys. We're getting through it. All those draft picks on defensive line, and they got whipped by a bunch of rookie backups. Embarrassing lineman play on both sides of the ball. JA17 again throwing balls 40 yards downfield on 3rd and 2. I think it happened once. That's an overstatement. Need more creativity on both sides. Need to draft better. I like that because I agree, even though he was not recklessly chucking the football down the field in this game. Absolutely pathetic. Oh, the next one. Sorry. Me Bang Drum, my favorite guy at Bass Drum Rule. It's my favorite name combo. Absolutely pathetic. We got schooled by the Bengals. They controlled us. We didn't lose this one by beating ourselves. We were flat out beat by the Bengals. Ugly way to end the season. It's true. Sean Seifert at Seifert6 Sean. Houday Nation came in there with Burrow, ran the Bills and their fans straight out of their own stadium before celebrating all over it. Apparently he's a Bengal fan. Good for you. Buffalo Nats fan at John Phillips 7. 100% pissed off, outcoached, manhandled on both sides of the ball. Frustrating defense, D-line and secondary horrid. Maybe we need to stop deferring the ball and let Josh set the tone. I like that. Burrow took it right down and scored. Ran about coin toss is probably irrelevant. 100% agree. Keo138 at Keo138. Got their asses whooped, but better here than in the Super Bowl. I like that take. Let's see. Was there any extras that I missed? Nope. I think that's it. Those are your tweets. And that took forever. And still, you guys are hanging with me. Maybe we'll extend the show a little bit. Let's see what's in the comment section. Being that this is post-game stuff is going away. This is tough to go back to it, right? Joe's in love with loud claps and bad timeouts. Are you talking about me? Why? Because I'm telling you that Sean McDermott's not getting fired? Doesn't mean I love everything about him. Just because he called a timeout today on a 3rd and 10, and then they converted it right after his timeout. And that seems to happen more than not. And the times that he has blundered and called a timeout late, the defense has actually made the stop, only to have them turn it around. But yeah, I might have to stay out of the comment section. I don't know if you guys are being nice to me tonight. Oh, well, it is what it is. It's been a good season, fam. We've gotten through a lot. We've done a lot. It's been a tragic year for our beloved city. It's been a tragic year for our beloved team. There's so much to talk about, and we'll probably talk through it through some of the offseason. I don't know what the offseason is going to bring for this show. Tomorrow, the Off Tackle with John Phoenix show happens. On Tuesday, the Code of Conduct with my guy, Jay Spence the King. Wednesday should bring you the Hump Day Hotline. Thursday, 3-Man Rush. Friday, Food for Thought. And then somewhere in there will be the After the Snap podcast with Blake and Reed Ferguson, Miami Dolphins long snapper, and his brother, Buffalo Bill. Reed, did I say Reed Ferguson? Yeah, Blake Ferguson, Reed Ferguson. Anyway, my bad. Sorry, I was thinking ahead. I was thinking 2 sentences ahead while I was still talking. So we still got some good content coming up for you this week. So you want to stay tuned in to that for me. Tomorrow, Mafia Monday, and then Wednesday, Wake Up Wednesday, and then I will have the return of Rapid Fire Friday this week. I expect that podcast on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network to continue. Also looking to possibly add some characters to that roster, just so you guys know, as I'm kind of spreading my wings a little bit just from a content standpoint. But do appreciate you guys. Do love you guys. Thankful that you rode with me all season long. And you know what? This is as much pressure as there is in this, as much as it's difficult, as much as it can be extremely stressful to do these shows. I very much appreciate every single one of you who listen, whether live, in podcast form. Support me, come up to me at tailgates, the mall, airports, different places, say hi and tell me that you listen to my show and you love my show. I appreciate all of you more than you will ever imagine. I'm definitely not going to do this forever, mainly because I have a family and my job is getting more demanding, especially with travel. But for as long as I do this, just know that the reason that I am doing it is because I want to connect with all of you, and I love and appreciate all of you so much. Brandon Wright, you just sent me a super chat, and I appreciate it. If you want to just put your question in there somewhere, I will read it. Oh, Darcy threw one in there too. I don't know what's going on. There's people just putting. Darcy, do you have something? Oh, she just said great show. So yeah, you guys are throwing me a little bit on these super chats, but I appreciate you guys so much. I will talk to you guys probably next week. We're going to keep doing this thing at least through. Oh, he says, thanks. That's for the pod. That's all. Appreciate you. There will be a show next week, next Sunday night. There will be a show, an Overreaction postgame show or podcast. And then I'll probably take a little bit of a break somewhere in February, March. And we'll figure kind of some of that stuff out. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to the Overreaction post-game show. This is the last one for the 2022 Bills season, brought to you by the Market Dominator team, as well as Western New York Beer Trail, on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. Please do me a favor, follow me over there. For me, for Buffalo Rumblings, for everybody in Bills Mafia. I wish the outcome were better, but we ride or die with this team. Man, now I'm getting tongue twisted at the end. We ride or die with this team. Forever will bleed red, white, and blue, and Bills Mafia for life. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Catch me on Twitter. I'll see you next week. Actually, I'll see you tomorrow on the Off Tackle with John Phoenix show. Come back. Love y'all.